airing on KXIC when most of you are listening. It's Sunday morning and the 9 o'clock hour. And I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Back at it for many. Programming note I should mention is that Mark will be doing the show tomorrow, the morning show. I'll be back on the air Tuesday morning to do the morning show. So just so you know that, and thanks to Mark for filling in for me. I appreciate that. It allows me to spend a little extra time with my family. So on to the show, Ron. Busy time of the year for you, for supplies specifically. You had mentioned that when we were live on the air. And is there a reason for that? Can you connect any dots, or is it just the winter tends to be when people are thinking supplies?
Oh, it's definitely Christmas time and getting gifts and all that kind of a thing. And they just all stock up at this point. And what's neat is talking with the customers about getting a unique gift for your pet. And that can happen anytime during the year. In our store, Wendy and I travel, and Coy, our inventory manager, now general manager, we travel the United States about 4 or 5 times a year looking for unique products. So if you were looking for just something different, I'm so tired of the rawhide thing or whatever, we've got everything from yak cheese. We introduced it into the market here, and it was because who's going to go buy that off the shelf? What is it? Yak. I don't want to buy yak. But once you give it to your dog, it is cheese. Once you give it to your dog, you'll want it for. I gotta go buy 10 more of those things. It's so crazy good.
What's the yak cheese one called?
There's a couple of different brands now. Himalayan Chews is one way, because it's from Himalaya, and so that's why
I thought there was some kind of chirpy chew. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because you can see the entrepreneurs out there, just jumping on the boat kind of a thing. There was one called Chirpy Chews, and then all of a sudden there was Himalayan. And so there's multiple players in it. But it comes down to the same. It's hardened yak cheese. And that's just one thing. We've got many, many, many things in there. If you have a cat and you're lurking in the cat section, I'll come over there and go, so have you heard about the litter or the litter box that we talk about all the time? And what's funny is listeners out here like you come in and they go, yeah, I heard that on the radio.
Yeah,
all the time.
I love hearing that.
And so it's neat to then say, this is the litter box that we talk about. And I just had a customer say exactly that. It was probably about 3 weeks ago. They were back in the store a couple days ago. And I go, oh, how is that working? And they're like, phenomenal.
I love it.
They bought both the litter, the crystal litter that we have, that is the best litter ever. I always point out, I go, when did it become all right to bring mud into your house and put it in a box, let your cat go urinate in it and poop in it, and then track it around your house? I go, it just doesn't even make sense if you look at it. There's a really good litter that we have in our store that is phenomenally better than that in all different ways. As far as smell goes, you won't even know you have a litter box. That family, here's the quote. The family said, we got another bathroom by using that litter. They had the litter box apparently in the bathroom, and their child wouldn't go in there anymore because of the smell. And the child was right there. I go, are you kidding me? Are you able to go in the bathroom now? And she goes, yeah, now it doesn't smell. So
that's awesome.
That's a really
and hold on, I have to do this. Any of the other potential sponsors that are listening right now, if you own a business, KXIC works. I love hearing stories like that. People who heard something, they try it, and then you win too because they tried the product that you recommended and it worked. So everybody wins.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. I love it. And that's not provoked, by the way. I have no way to really prove that, but I did not pay Ron to say that. But KXIC, the testimonial working in that particular case. And it is true. Once we switched and really what we're talking about, this top entry box, it's the easiest solution is that the hole is at the top and there's a lid on it. And so the old one that we used to have was a side entry, and we have one of our 2 cats specifically just loves to kick and she could do that all she wants because it doesn't come out the top. But when she did that off the side, every day, a big mess out the side of the box, and I had to sweep it up, and it was just daily annoyance, and it's gone. So it works. Ron Salzer with Petland of Iowa City. I'm Jay Capron. And so you mentioned a couple of things. What are we going to talk about today? What's the breed of the week?
The breed of the week is the Labrador Retriever. So we're going to just
favorite.
review that and say, is that the right breed for you? We're going to talk about potty training because there is people that are, you're taking the dogs home and the puppies home and all that kind of stuff. And we do this about every other month. We review potty training because there are some really simple tools to use and strategies on getting your dog to potty where you want them. And it's usually outside. And we're going to focus this on puppies and that new dog in your house. But if you have an existing dog that has some mild potty training issues, listen in, because we're going to give you some tips and you're going to benefit from this and get that dog to start doing the duty out in the yard rather than in the house. And then finally, we're going to review our food of the week is Natural Balance. Coy bought up on the sweet potato and fish formula, and I think the other one is duck and potato. And so we have them on a deep discount. This is one of those really high quality foods out there, top rated by all sorts of different sources. And we have it at a really good discount because Coy was able to find a bargain on it and just pass it along to you. So we'll be reviewing that food just to say, hey, is this the right food for your dog?
All right. Well, we look forward to that. Before we get to our break, though, it's time for the amazing pet story of the week. But no big voice guy today. He's on a holiday break, so
he's
that
guy.
He's got to spend time with his big voice family too. You would imagine that.
Can you imagine
their Christmas dinner is
Oh.
I enjoy the turkey. Very, very good.
That's gotta be
Big voice wife too. You never know. The big voice dog too. They probably have. So anyway, it is time for the amazing pet story. Today we learn about a plucky collie back in 1966. Have you ever heard this story? The story of Pickles. The World Cup was stolen just 4 months before the matches started in 1966. Somebody stole the World Cup, the actual trophy. And this collie was being walked by its owner when it sniffed something out of the bushes. And what Pickles found was the missing World Cup. In the aftermath, his rise to fame was meteoric. He was lavished with attention. He attended a banquet in his honor. He was given a bone and a check for €1,000. And he was the star of the world in 1966 because Pickles, the collie, was able to find the World Cup trophy. And so that's our amazing pet story of the week. We'll be right back with more after this. This is the PAWSitively Petland Show. We'll be back with all those fun topics to talk about. We're talking pets on AM 800 KXIC. Just test it, no biggie. All right, so here we go. In 3, welcome in. Petland Show, AM 800 KXIC, Iowa City. I'm Jay Capron. We're with Ron Salzer with Petland of Iowa City. Hopefully everyone had a Merry Christmas and it's back at it. Another work week coming up here this week, and I'll be back on the air doing my live morning show on Tuesday. Mark will be in tomorrow to do the program. We're talking pets here. We just had the amazing pet story of the week. Pickles, who found the World Cup trophy back in 1966, was the amazing pet story, and started to talk a little bit about pets. It's time to dive into the very, very popular breed. At one time was the most popular. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
It
still is.
Yeah,
the Labrador Retriever.
Lab and the Golden kind of swap places back and forth. And the reason is if they're a large breed, and if you think about it, there's not many different large breeds. There's a lot of small breeds.
Yeah.
And so that one, they get a little diluted in the statistics.
A lot of mixes with labs too.
Now
it seems to be,
more and more, just because they're looking for different characteristics, which is why we have the breeds we have. The purebreds of today were mixes of yesterday, and we'll actually go through that with the Labrador Retriever. So here's the stump Stump Jay's question. I don't know how to say that right. We're going to go, this is going to be a twofold in that recently, where did the Labrador come into America from? And then long term, where was it originally when it was just mixes and they made it into the purebred of a lab? So recently, where do you think it migrated from?
Chesapeake Bay.
What?
The Chesapeake Bay Retriever. I don't know.
Where is Chesapeake Bay?
In the East Coast.
The reason why I'm asking is I'm like, is it far enough north to be called Canada?
No, it's not Canada.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that one. I know that the name Canada is recently where we got the Labrador Retriever from. And I think that's kind of interesting because we always like, in America, don't we start everything and then it propagates over there? No, Canada was the one that brought the Labrador Retriever from its original. Where do you think the original place that a Labrador Retriever was developed? This one's tough.
Yeah. I think I got this one randomly one time, if I recall. I don't know. Just
Newfoundland.
I did say that. I remember we did a show a few months ago when we must have been talking about the lab, and I said Newfoundland, and you were like shocked.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, and that shows how good my memory is because I just completely forgot that it was Newfoundland.
Go with your gut. Yeah, the gut wasn't there.
No.
So we know the lab now as being just that nice family pet. Hunters still, why do they call it a retriever? Because it retrieves the game. So hunters are still avidly using it, but we also know that they're great in search and rescue. So those are, and leading the blind, those are some of the current uses of a Labrador Retriever. And gosh, to have all of those purposes for the lab, and then yet there's still a wonderful pet on top of it, that's like the best of the best. Right there. History, they are from Newfoundland. They used to work right alongside the fishermen, catching the fish and working with the fishermen in the boats and stuff. And I'm picturing much bigger boats than the bass boat or something like that. It is a mix of setters, spaniels, and other retrievers. And so that's where it got all of that. I love to go hunting aspects because those are all really strong hunting breeds out there. The temperament, like we all know, is a really nice dog. They do need socialization just like every dog. And so if you've ever met an angry lab, not an angry elf, but an angry lab, it usually is just because the owner was not socializing them with other people. Might have kept them a little more secluded in the house. And then when they get out, they think those are threats to the pack. And so they get grumbly when they see other people. As long as you have your pet socialized. So when you go for walks, you treat your dog, you got to put those boundaries on them and treat them so that, hey, this is a friend, not a foe kind of a thing. They'll over time get that. The rollover technique is always a really good training technique, especially as puppies, to show that you're in control. But then I always have anybody else that comes into, like in the store, I go, here, I want you to roll this puppy over to show that you're in charge. I want everybody to be in charge of that dog, and the dog will be much more submissive then and say, oh, okay, everybody's in charge. What can I do? And that's the lab, though, kind of falls down that path. It's very easy to go down that path with a Labrador Retriever. And being a large breed dog, that's wonderful. And so that's why people love the Labrador Retriever. They were brought into the AKC club in 1917. So they've been an AKC registered dog for a long time. Average size is 55 to 75 pounds. Now, I always say those are averages because I know of labs that are over 100, and that's a big, big, big lab. And then some labs that are even smaller than that. But in general, they're in that 55 to 70 range. Let's see, what else? Oh, talk about, we're always trying to find out, is this the right breed for you? So I want a large breed. So that, everything's going to be a little more expensive. Food, vet bills, beds, everything is going to be more with a large breed. Realize it's a shedding dog, so there's going to be more shedding as a result. You will see the shed from a Labrador Retriever in your house, but we always recommend at that point, go buy the Furminator. And you will significantly decrease the amount of shed that your dog has in the house. The first thing though is getting them on a good quality food with plenty of omega-3s and fatty acids in there. That has scientifically been proven to reduce the shedding of your dog. It doesn't eliminate it, but it definitely reduces that shedding. And so if you're not on, and this is for any dog that's a shedding dog, if you're not on a good quality food, get on one, because you're going to feed less, you're not going to spend more money in the long run, and you're going to get that nice benefit of a less shedding dog. They need large yards. We're talking about the Labrador Retriever. This is a big dog that likes to run. So when they're in the house, they tend to be kind of complacent, and they'll be okay as long as they can get that energy out in the yard. They love to play and train, which is saying they're kind of that, or they're on that intelligence side of things. They want to, you have to train them or they start training you, kind of a thing. And if you ever had that dog that was a nuisance, what it was doing was training you. It was trying to get you to do what it wants you to do. Turn the role around and go, hey, this is my house, and just stay on training. And so with our little Susie at our house, who is a really intelligent dog, she comes up and does exactly that. If we're not engaging her, she's engaging us. Well, we just turn it really quick around and go, hey, where's the ball? And she goes hunting for the ball. And then we start throwing the ball around. She's saying, I need some stimulation here, guys. I need something going on. So the Labrador Retriever will do the same exact thing. So you're going to need a house. They do say, AKC says, oh, an apartment is okay, but realize you got to be outdoors with this guy. They need to have that outdoor play and everything.
And I would say, Iowa City is an area with a lot of apartments, and if you're an active lifestyle, I'm sure
then you're going to be fine.
Okay.
You got to make the commitment. As far as every day we're going out. And we're having fun and all that kind of stuff. Bring the ball, get them exercised out, and they're going to be a wonderful dog, even in an apartment.
Love labs. Always have. I had a lab growing up, a lab collie mix, and then the yellow lab after that. And just wonderful family dogs. And so that's the breed of the week, the Labrador Retriever. So if you want to know more about the lab, you could always talk to Ron at Petland of Iowa City, talk to one of the other counselors. They'll be happy to tell you about that or any other breed that you might be interested in. So what's next?
We have potty training. So about every month and a half, 2 months, we review potty training because one, if you listened to one in the past, you probably caught a tip or two and said, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. Well, this is the reinforcer of that. But I bet you're going to come up with a different tip this time and go, oh, I can take this to the next level, kind of a thing. And then for those people that just brought a puppy home or went to the shelter and got a dog, this is your way of going, how am I supposed to do this? What's the best way to do it? And all that kind of stuff. So potty training should be an overall pretty positive event. No dog is perfect. And so can there be an accident? Yeah, there's probably going to be an accident, but we're going to talk about how to minimize those accidents and how to clean them up. That's really important. That's the key. Those people that have dogs in their house already and have some, oh, it only potties in the house once a week or once every other week, tune in, because you can get beyond that and have no accidents in your house after you apply some of these tips. So I always like to talk about a 24-hour period. What does that look like when you're potty training your dog? And so I start off with, waking up in the morning. We're going to talk about, both of you better have gotten a really good rest last night. And I'm going to tell you when we get to that point, how to have a good rest. You especially, there's nothing worse than waking up really groggy, really cranky, and now attacking the day, and not being probably all that kind to your dog as well. So a good night's rest is really, really important. So now you're coming out and your dog is all excited and all that kind of stuff. And you go up to the kennel and you open it up. Make sure you pick the dog up at this point. That dog, I always say, is a loaded gun right now with plenty of poop and pee, and it's ready to get it out. The reason why it was in that kennel is because dogs are denning animals, and dogs don't poop or pee in their den if they were in the wild. So it's a natural instinct for them to not want to do that. We'll cover that a little bit more in a little bit. So you pick your dog up. You've already got your treat in your pocket. And I'm saying you only need one or two, and we're talking small treats. You're walking outside. Where do you want them to potty? You can actually get them to really focus in on one area and potty in that one area. So put them down in that area. With puppies, you're going to notice that they're going to hang around your feet. They're going to, like, if they're a little bashful, they want to stay close to you because you're alpha at this point. And so they're going to get jumping around and jumping up your leg. Just stand there and wait, because they're going to all of a sudden squat, not on your foot. I've never had that happen. They've always gone a little ways away from me. They squatted, or got the little humpy backs, and they're doing their business. While they're doing their business, grab that treat really fast. If you only brought one, break it in half, because you're going to need the second one in a little bit. I want you to put that treat right up to their nose while they're still doing their business. Don't wait. Because what you're trying to do is say, what you're doing right now, I really like, and here is a treat to reinforce that. The number one, scientifically proven, number one way to train a dog or to incentivize a dog is through food. They are very food motivated. And so you're going to have that treat right at their nose while they're doing their business, and you're going to give it to them at that point as well. You can let them lick it a couple of times and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine as well, but give it to them while they're doing their business. If you wait until they come into the house, they think coming into the house is why they got the treat. And that might be something you want to train your dog if they like to run away. That's another thing that you can do. But for potty training, you got to do it right when they're doing their business. So you've given them the treat, they finish up, everything's good. We'll give them a little more time, and that poop usually comes out as well. And so now you use the other treat to do exactly the same thing. Incentivize them to poop outside. That is something you will always want to reinforce if you have potty issues down the road. Eventually, you're going to be able to get away from this. They're going to go, oh, I get it. We want to go outside. That's where we go. And they're going to continue on that path. That's why we like dogs so much, is because that's probably if they pooped and peed in the house, even after we did all this, I bet you dogs would not be man's best friend, kind of a thing. So you're going to do this for a while until you've eliminated any accidents in the house. So if you've gone for 3 months without an accident in your house, you can stop the treat, and you probably already have. Some other incentive things that you can do. So food, we said, is the number one way to incentivize your dog. Number two is tactile. It's actually scratching them. And they found specifically scratching them around the jaw. If you scratch them around the jaw, they get positive reinforcement. Tails are wagging and all that kind of stuff. And it was like the psychologists were just watching the dog's behavior while different things were being done. And they noticed that food was a huge happy event. Scratching around the jaw was the next biggest happy event. And then a nice, gentle, but, firm or whatever, good dog, something that a verbal that they heard that was reassuring to them. And so that is going to be reassuring over time when you say good dog, or whatever, you might say something else that you think is funny. That's fine as well. The whole yelling and all that kind of stuff, they found absolutely never works and actually brings you in a negative direction. You can actually have the excitable pee kind of thing happen in your house if you start yelling. They also found that, how people thought that if you rub their nose in the poop, they'll stop doing it. That's just a big flat out wrong. And I found out why. We think we're doing something nasty to them. But have you ever seen a dog eat its poop? They actually like it. And so when you push their nose into it, it does nothing but going, oh, yeah, there's some food here. I need to eat it, don't I? Why that is dogs have a shorter intestine. Their food does not get totally digested. And so as it comes out, there's still some nutrients available. They have a very accurate nose. They can smell that in there, and they go, oh, I can eat it again. I know that's gross, and I know it's Sunday morning here, and we're going to church, and we're like, I did not need to hear that. But it is a natural thing. And so that's why rubbing their nose in it doesn't work. So, all right. So now we were outside. We incentivized our dog. They gave him a treat. We gave him a scratch. We gave him a good dog, good dog. They did both their businesses. Now you can go in and do your routines. But some of you are going, wait, mine didn't do all that. If your dog didn't give what you know that they're supposed to give, hey, you're due for a poop, you're due for a pee, just simply pick them back up, put them in the kennel for 10 to 20 more minutes, and then bring them back out again and let them do their business. After a couple of rotations of that, they're going to get the idea and say, oh, I got to do, my business. And then maybe they were a little groggy the first time, and now, things are moving and all that. And, oh, hey, yeah, I can go now. And they'll get it done that way. Again, incentivize them with that treat, a scratch, and a good dog, and you'll move in the right direction as far as potty training goes. So now what you want to do throughout the day is find the routine of your dog. Puppies, small puppies, in fact, it's about every 2 to 3, 4 hours that they need to, do their business. And so you're taking them back out, doing their business out there, incentivizing them to do it. If they have an accident in the house, just make sure to clean it up. Don't make a big deal about it. There's nothing you can do to further along the process of them potty training outside other than cleaning up correctly. And that is for both pooping and peeing, you want to use the stain and odor remover with an enzyme in it. It's at our pet store. You're just looking for the product that says enzyme in it. This product's been out for 40 years. It's nothing new. We've got like 4 different brands of it in our store because everybody wants to try something different. They all have the same active ingredient in it. There's nothing crazy, changing about it. But it really works. The reason why it works, because a lot of people go, I don't believe in that. I'm just going to use bleach. I'm just going to use a detergent. I'm going to use Dawn. I'm going to use whatever. None of those work anywhere near as good as a stain and odor remover with an enzyme in it, because there is a smell that all those other detergents can't get out. It's the enzyme that actually goes after the smell that the dog, or the cat in this case, smells, and it gives them a permission to pee. All right, so what are you talking about? Hey, when you're walking your dog and you come across a fire hydrant or a post or a pole or a corner, and your dog is like insanely going crazy about wanting to pee right there, what they're doing is they smelled urine there, and they want to, then it just says, I gotta pee, I gotta go, and so they go. If you have that urine smell that only they can smell, they're so sensitive, so accurate with their smells that we can't even smell it anymore, but they still can. This stain and odor remover with an enzyme in it, if you pour it on there, same amount that they just peed, it will then saturate in the carpeting or the hardwood or the concrete or whatever surface you have. It will go after that smell and remove it. I always say just let it sit there for 20 minutes so it can soak in and all that kind of stuff, and then use a towel and wipe it up. It's a great stain and odor remover, hence the title of the product. But that enzyme is also working out after that smell. All dogs mark every time they pee. There's not a such thing as, oh, I have a marking dog. All dogs mark every single time they pee. All cats mark every single time they pee. So if they do this in your house, you got to go clean it up every single time. Stay ahead of it. So now you're going through the day and you're figuring things out. I guess a tip for those dogs that are a little older and maybe they're the ones that are urinating, and this goes for both females and males. They're about 50-50 as far as this habit goes. And maybe they just are like going around the house all the time and doing it. That dog, what I've done with dogs that I've taken care of, friends' dogs and stuff like that, that had that situation, is we did a lot of kenneling on the front end because the dogs don't tend to pee or poop in the kennel. And then we did a lot of walking out, got them, did their urinary stuff, maybe played, got some exercise out, brought them back in, put them on a leash in our house so that they couldn't go and urinate elsewhere in the house while we weren't looking. And that way, you can now control the behavior. The leash on program on this is mainly for adult dogs that have that potty issue, is not a fun thing to do, but I'm telling you, it works because I did it with our Callie, our dachshund, right when we brought her in. She was 1.5 years old. She urinated only in the house. She wouldn't even go outside. That's how Poorly she was trained. We did leash on in the house all the time. We had to go for 3 months without an accident. We had an accident at 2 months, so we actually went for 5 months doing this. And but I'll tell you, Callie does not urinate in the house ever. Her record is 13 hours. It was one of those accidents where you forgot and you're like running home to get Callie out and she's standing at the back door. That's how good of a program it can be. So that's a good tip for those people with existing dogs with mild to moderate to heavy urination problems within the house. Put a leash on them and hold that leash all the time. We did use the doorknob when we would put her on the doorknob closest to us when we were eating dinner or lunch so that she wasn't, hopping up and saying, I want food. So tip for those dogs. Now, getting back to just general potty training. So you're going to discover their patterns of when they go and do their business and work with those patterns. As you're coming closer and closer to the evening, if you've got that dog that is having some potty issues at night, even in the kennel, cut the water a little early. All us parents know this. If we were helping our children with potty training at night, well, about 7:30, we cut the water and no more liquids. That lets them urinate out a couple more times. And now they can hold that little bit that's left for the entire night. So if you need that tip, another tip, if your dog is urinating in the kennel and you have a bed in there, try taking the bed out. I know now they got to lay on the flat, hard surface, but realize this is short term and they understand this. They do it in our house all over the place. They lay on the floors. This is just a short term so that if they do urinate or poop, they have to sit in it. And I know that's gross as well, but this is how they learn. So now we're coming to the evening. We're going to put our dog into the kennel with those additional tips if you need them. And we're going to say goodnight. And we're not going to see that dog until tomorrow morning. Wait, my dog barks and I go and get them then. Well, they're training you. If you get up in the middle of the night because your dog is barking, and you're going to have that problem going forward. So in order to get out of that habit, you're going to want to put that crate in another room. And so I literally had it, and this was in the summertime, and it was not hot temperatures or anything like that. They literally had to put the dog in the garage because they needed their kids to have a good sleep and they needed them to have a good sleep. And so find a safe place to put your dog. In our house, we were able just to put them in a room, close the doors to that room, and it was on the other side of the house. And then we closed the doors to our room. I put a little pillow over my ear so that it cushioned the sound even more. Had a beautiful night's sleep. That's the key. You got to have a great night's sleep. And your dog is now learning that if they bark, they don't get attention. So they might as well just go to sleep. And so that's a little tip at night, especially for the new dog owners out there. Those dogs are going to test those boundaries and see how can they get you going.
Smart little buggers, huh?
They are smart little buggers. And so in the morning, you wake up and go, good night's sleep. Let's go get Foo-Foo. Let's bring him outside. Let's go through.
Have you ever met an owner that has a dog actually named Foo-Foo?
No.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a real thing.
We need to name a dog Foo-Foo.
One of the puppies when they come in. Ron, we're actually almost out of time, if you can believe it. A lot of great tips there about potty training and these types of tips available at Petland of Iowa City. Just talk to the counselors that are there. Talk to Ron if he's there, which you're there most of the time. So be sure to stop on by. And I know you wanted to feature Dick Van Patten's food, right?
Yes, Natural Balance. Dick Van Patten's from 8 is Enough. He designed these a long time ago, and it's a wonderful group of products that he put together. He has what's called limited ingredient diets, which means it's usually a single protein source. For those people with allergies, dogs with allergies, these are really great formulas for you because the protein is what the dog or cat in this case is allergic to. And so if you go to a limited ingredient diet, in this case it's fish, sweet potato and fish, there's only fish in there as far as the protein source. If your dog has that reaction, whether it's a itchy paws, itchy skin, all that, you switch away from fish and go to duck. That way you can then see if it's that the fish is what's doing it. So that's one really good thing about Natural Balance is they have this available to you. But then it's also really, they were one of the leaders in just really nutrients dense food. So you're going to feed less. And this is one of the leaders in that. You feed half as much than you would any grocery brand or any Mart brand or anything like that. So when you go and look at the price, you go, oh, that's so expensive. Relax. You're going to spend the same amount of money in food buying this as you would those other lesser expensive, cheaper brands that are in the grocery stores and marts. And you're going to get all the benefits of the supplements as well. So the omega-3s and fatty acids, the glucosamines and chondroitins, all things that we know will help our dog. So natural balance, we just bought a bunch of that into our store, or brought it into our store at a really reduced price. So we're putting it on sale. You know, it's one of those, you know, while they last kind of a thing. But Coy was really excited about buying this so that you can try it if you've never done it. And if you're using it already, hey, come on in, bulk up, because we've got it at a really reduced price. So come in and try Natural Balance by Dick Van Patten.
Dick Van Patten. And it's a quality food, just like a lot of the foods you have there. And I know if people aren't happy with the food they have today that they're feeding their dog, you guys have a wide selection of food. So I'm sure people can find the right one on your shelf. Yep. All right, Ron. Well, it's been a fun show, very informational, and I hope you and your family had a wonderful Christmas. And we'll talk to you in the new year. Okay?
Sounds very good.
As we go to break and end the show, just tell us a little bit more about your store.
Hey, we've got $5 nail trims for your furry friends. We do need to see the distemper and rabies vaccination, so just bring that in with you. But $5, no appointments necessary. We'll keep it on file for you, so you don't have to keep on bringing it in. That's a wonderful way people use our store every single day. All of this food that we hear, Natural Balance, and all of our other foods are on a buy 10, get one free. We track it for you. There's no need for you to clip coupons or all that kind of stuff because it's just all done automatically for you. So we do that. Come in and play. We're one of the last stores out there, especially in our city here and surroundings. We actually have pets, and we'll educate you on you. And that's what we're all about, is educating you on, hey, what's the right pet for you? Maybe a puppy is not the right pet for you right now. So let's look at the bunnies, the hamsters, the reptiles, the fish, what meets your lifestyle. So we're all about educating you.
Right off Lower Muscatine, Petland of Iowa City. Go check them out. This has been the Positively Petland Show for Ron Salzberg. I'm Jay Capron. Bye. Welcome back. Welcome.